Good evening. I'd like to call to order the Cabarrus County Board of Commissioners for our regular meeting on May 20th, 2013. I'd like to remind everybody in the audience, if you have a mobile device of any kind, if you'll please make sure they're on silent or vibrate, as this is a live telecast. We begin our meeting with our presentation of colors, and we're happy to welcome Girl Scout Troop 760 from Cold Springs United Methodist Church. If you'll please rise.
Color guard advance. Prepare to post the colors. Post the colors. Please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Color guard, return to post.
It is also our pleasure to welcome Rabbi Barbara Thiede today from Temple Or Olam. If you'll please come up to do an invocation for us. She's a real trooper because she comes back often when we ask, so we appreciate you coming tonight.
Absolutely. God, we are so blessed. We are blessed to be here. We are blessed to live here. We are blessed to work here. Please, God, remind us also of our fears, of our vulnerabilities, of moments of loneliness and isolation, for when we are reminded of our frailties, we are reminded what we are here to do, to provide for those in need, to provide and secure justice, to protect the rights of our citizens and strangers among us. Tzedek, tzedek, tirdof lema'an tiyeh. Justice, justice shall you pursue that you might live. May we be guided by the knowledge of our frailties to care for those who are frail. May we be guided by the knowledge of our isolation to reach out to those who need us. May we be guided by the ever-present need to transmit to future generations a world that is safer and even fairer than today's. May we so commit ourselves in unity. God bless us with those intentions. And may we say, Amen.
And again, I'd like to thank Rabbi Thiede for coming tonight. And we'd like to recognize Girl Scout Troop 760. So, ladies, if you'll please come forward. What we'd like for you to do is you might need to adjust the microphone if you need to, but pull the microphone down and tell us your name and tell us what school you go to and what grade you're in.
My name is Lily Rogers. I go to Irvin Elementary, and I'm in 3rd grade.
Thank you very much. And Commissioner Burge, if you'll go over here, Lily. If you'll go over here, Commissioner Burge has a pen for you.
I am Zoe Jackson, and I go to Irvin Elementary, and I am 3rd grade.
Great, thank you, Zoe.
My name is Mary Beth Floyd, and I go to Carolina International School, and I am in 4th grade.
Thank you. You can pull it up. There you go.
My name is Michaela Miller, and I go to Carolina International School, and I'm in 4th grade.
Thank you.
My name is Janaya, and I'm in 4th grade, and I go to Rocky River Elementary School.
Thank you.
My name is Kamai, and I go to Rocky River Elementary School, and I'm in 3rd grade.
Thank you.
My name is Riley Hughes, and I go to Irvin Elementary School in 2nd grade.
My name is Janaea Cox, and I go to Rocky River Elementary, and I'm in 4th grade.
Thank you. We appreciate all of you Girl Scouts being here tonight and helping us to present the colors. I'd also like to recognize another Girl Scout group, 403, who is in attendance with us tonight, working on one of their badges. Is that the group you spoke to?
I spoke to the last group.
We spoke to this group. So sometimes we do that. I know Commissioner Morris and Commissioner White spoke with the young ladies earlier today about government and...
Government, they had a lot of questions. Most of the questions that Commissioner Morris was able to answer, and I stumbled through a few. But it was fun. It was great talking to the young ladies, and, you know, y'all do such a great job. It's an honor to be able to talk to you and meet. So if y'all ever have the opportunity, if y'all need, let us know, and we'll be happy to meet with you, either Commissioner Morris, myself, or one of the other commissioners. Yes, we will. Thank you.
Thank you all. The first thing that we have on our agenda is approval or correction of the minutes. There are some changes to, on page five in your packet. So at this time, I would accept a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Do I have a motion and a second? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Next, we have approval of the agenda, including some changes on the agenda that you'll find on page 225. So at this time, I accept a motion to approve the agenda as presented with the changes.
So moved.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, tonight we have a proclamation for Memorial Day, which is coming up. And it reads, whereas across this great country, Americans will join together on May 27th, 2013, to honor our fallen heroes of the United States Armed Forces, and whereas Memorial Day was first proclaimed a national holiday in 1868 to pay homage to those who answered the call to defend the principles on which our nation was founded, and whereas throughout the course of generations, both at home and on foreign soil, men and women in uniform have sacrificed for the promise of freedom, the preservation of our values, and the ideals of democracy, and whereas men and women in uniform have paid for our liberty with their lives, we hold in remembrance their selflessness with deepest honor and respect, and are indebted to their memory for the valiant and honorable path of service they followed. And whereas on this day we share in sorrow with and express our support to the families who have also sacrificed greatly for fellow citizens, as they gave up their sons and daughters to serve our country and to serve for a day when peace will abound. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Cabarrus County Board of Commissioners do hereby proclaim Memorial Day, May 27th, 2013, in recognition of the men and women in uniform who have made the supreme sacrifice, and further urge all citizens to pause for a moment of silence at noon on May 27th, 2013, to honor and to reflect on the memory of our fallen heroes of the United States Armed Forces. At this time, I'd accept a motion to adopt the proclamation.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. The North Carolina Association of County Commissioners has requested all 100 counties view a legislative video update during the month of May. And so Mr. Marshall is going to play a video for us. You want to make sure that you can see your monitors.
Hello, I'm David Thompson, your Executive Director of your North Carolina Association of County Commissioners. One of our key jobs is to keep you updated on major events at the General Assembly. This year's session has been very challenging thus far. There's been a significant amount of change in the legislature in recent years. For example, there are 56 members serving in their first term and another 44 just beginning their second term serving in the General Assembly. That means that out of 170 legislators, 100 have less than 3 years of experience. We need you to continue to help educate the new members of the General Assembly about the unique and important partnership that exists between counties and the state of North Carolina.
County 101 is a program we started this year with help from the UNC School of Government and the staff of the General Assembly. The program offered an orientation to new legislators about how county and state governments work together to provide services to our citizens. Most of the new members had never served in county government before they were elected to the legislature. We need you to remind them to consider the county perspective when debating legislation.
So many new legislators in Raleigh means lots of new ideas in Raleigh. Of the more than 1,700 bills introduced so far, about 20% directly impact county governments. Not only are we working to achieve the 60 legislative goals the membership adopted, we are responding to those bills that either do something good or bad to counties. You can access a complete list of bills we are following by clicking on the Advocacy tab on our website. Several things are really taking a lot of our attention at the moment.
One of our county's biggest priorities is lottery funding for school construction. The legislature has reduced the county share of lottery proceeds for each of the last 3 years and has taken all of the ADM funds for counties for the past 4. Altogether, counties have lost nearly $500 million of funds for school construction needs. We need you to tell your legislators how this has impacted your county and to stress the importance of receiving the full share of lottery proceeds.
One legislative goal where we have seen progress is to help counties better manage costs for providing medical care for inmates in county jails. Proposed legislation will give counties the same ability as the state to cap the rates hospitals can charge for inmate medical expenses. We need you to contact your senators and make sure they know counties support Senate Bill 321.
Many bills have been filed to erode county authority or to reduce the county property tax base. We urge you to look at Senate Bill 612, which prohibits a county from adopting any environmental ordinance that is stronger than an existing state or federal law. Bills have been filed to expand the homestead exemption and to make it easier for farms to qualify for present use value. Both of these ideas and others would negatively impact the county property tax base.
One of our overriding goals is to increase county authority because we believe that locally elected county commissioners know what is best for their communities. Senate Bill 287 allows some counties the option to provide public notices on their websites in lieu of purchasing ads in local newspapers. This bill passed the Senate on April 23rd. While it only impacts 10 counties, we need you to support this measure as a first step towards achieving this legislative goal on a statewide basis.
Heading into this session, tax reform was considered a major issue. Several bills have been introduced to suggest some level of tax reform, but no comprehensive reform package has seen legislative action. We have been assured by Senate leadership that county property tax will not be a part of the tax reform discussion. That said, we are keeping a close eye on local sales taxes and other locally levied taxes, and we need you to remind your legislators that county revenues must be protected in tax reform.
As you can see, there's a lot going on in Raleigh that could negatively or positively impact the services that you provide to your citizens. We need your help. Our philosophy is simple and remains unchanged. The best advocates for county government are locally elected county commissioners speaking to locally elected state representatives. That is why we hope to see you in Raleigh on May 22nd for our County Assembly Day.
County Assembly Day is a unique opportunity for you to come to Raleigh and be directly involved in our state's public policy process. The association staff will be here to help you every step of the way. You'll also have the opportunity to hear from leaders themselves, talk directly to you about the important issues of the day. Your association has been serving counties for over 100 years. It's a proud tradition of public service, and we thank you for all that you do to support your association and all 100 counties.
Thank you. Just a couple comments. We will be, we've already notified everybody, we will be attending the Legislative Day on Wednesday. I think all of the commissioners are going. It is a chance to go to Raleigh. It's been, for anybody that follows politics, you've probably seen a lot about all the legislation going on. We do try to individually, I think, contact our representatives, Representative Pittman, Representative Johnson, Representative Ford, and Senator Hartzell. County government is a function of state government, so we only do what the state says we can do. And if they say we can't do it, we don't do it. If they say we can do it, we can. But otherwise, there's no real leeway in that. And I'm not certain that a lot of people realize the function or the how the county government in North Carolina, at least, is set up. One of the bills that they mentioned was the lottery funding at 40%. That's how it was written, because for those of you that hurried out on Saturday to try to get your piece of that almost $600 million payout, somebody in Florida is probably pretty happy, but there actually, I heard today, there's a bill to change the 40% because that's what the complaint's been. They're not following what the law says, to just make it so the legislature can actually decide how much of the lottery money they're going to give to counties down the road, instead of being held to any percentage or any formula when it was set up originally as the education lottery. So a lot of things going on in Raleigh, and as your county representatives, we do try to keep in touch with our folks in Raleigh, and hope that our citizens will do that also. If there's legislation that you know that's on their agenda or something that you think is important, it's important for everybody to speak out. So there you go. Anybody else want to make any comments on any of that? Nope. Everybody good? Okay. For informal public comments, I have one yellow card, and that is Mr. Kerry Glough. And I'm going to pass out his comments.
Is this an overhead? They have a copy of it. It's fine. Good evening. It's good to be back here speaking to you again. My name is Kerry Glough. My family and I have lived and worked in Cabarrus County for over 22 years. I'm here to speak against the proposed resolution regarding Second Amendment rights of our citizens. And again, to speak on behalf of the majority of citizens who believe that reasonable gun control laws do not infringe on Second Amendment rights. And that it is time to start thinking about protecting the rights and lives of our neighbors and children against senseless acts of violence, which is often associated with easy access to firearms. Poll after poll after poll concludes that Americans want some basic controls on who can purchase firearms, and that they want to close the gun show loophole. You have a whole list of such polls in front of you. I'm a teacher at Hickory Ridge High School in Harrisburg. This community was recently rocked by a senseless act of violence when a troubled man gunned down two of his neighbors and then himself. This man knew his way around our gun laws, and according to our local newspaper, was considering obtaining a concealed carry permit from another state, which is perfectly legal, and then transferring it to our state. A new federal regulation could help prevent such activity, but the proposed resolution states that we want no part of such legislation. I would do anything to protect my students in a potential life-threatening situation at my school, but I would prefer to prevent an upset student or spouse or employee from walking into a gun show at the Arena Event Center with a bag full of cash and walking out with a bag full of rifles and shotguns and heading down Highway 49 to one of the biggest high schools in the county and making a name for him or herself. I'd rather stop that before it happens. This resolution flies in the face of what the citizens of this country are asking for. Again, I would like to know who proposed the resolution and why. And again, I respectfully request that you reject the proposed resolution. I'm not a member of any organization. I'm not speaking on behalf of, I haven't joined any organization against guns, or I don't deny anybody the right to own a firearm. I just think that we can do better to prevent these continuous acts of mass violence and try to stop them before they happen. I think gun owners have plenty of rights and have plenty of opportunities to buy guns. We need to start thinking about protecting the citizens, not just the gun owners. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Kerry. Okay, next we have, we don't have any old business, so next we have is the consent agenda. Commissioners, if you'll look over the list on the consent agenda and make sure if there's anything on there that you'd like to pull off. And if not, just trying to get there on my iPad. All right, you have a motion to approve the consent agenda, Commissioner Burge? And we have a second. Is there any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Next, we have new business. The first item that we have, planning and development, Boston Fisher Road right-of-way abandonment. We need to have a public hearing on this. And Mr. Snuggs is here to talk about E911 addressing, or has to do with this.
This is actually a resident requested that the last 10th of a mile there, Boston Fisher, be closed for public right-of-way or for DOT maintenance. We discussed having a public hearing, and we're open for any questions.
Okay, let's go ahead and open up the public hearing first. So, open the public hearing to consider Boston Fisher Road right-of-way abandonment. Is there anyone here to speak for or against this issue? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing. Commissioners, do any of you have any questions concerning this? We've talked about it previously. Okay, if there are no questions at this time, I accept a motion to adopt the resolution for abandonment and closure of a portion of the right-of-way for Boston Fisher Road.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and I have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Next, we have also from Planning and Development proposed text amendments. Susie Morris is here, Planning and Zoning Manager. We have a couple items there.
Good evening. If you'll remember, we have two text amendments that we're considering this evening. One is for the zoning ordinance, and the other is for the subdivision ordinance. So we'll start with the amendments for the zoning ordinance. These were considered by the Planning and Zoning Commission, as well as the Text Amendment Committee and our legal counsel. The first amendment is to Chapter 7, Section 7-3. It corrects some typos in that section, and it clarifies that you can have one accessory dwelling unit per parcel. We did not have that in the ordinance prior to this time, but we had been operating under that interpretation, so this is simply to codify that. The second part of that amendment is for Chapter 8, which discusses reception facilities. The proposed language would address access for those facilities. The initial language that we adopted talked about major and minor thoroughfares. That's really not practical in the county, so this would allow access to either a DOT-maintained street or from a private street, as long as the applicant had permission from the property owners. And I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have, and we will need to hold a public hearing this evening.
And we talked about both of these, or these different amendments and changes in our work session. So let me go ahead and open the public hearing. Open the public hearing to discuss proposed text amendments to Cabarrus County zoning ordinance and amendments to the Cabarrus County subdivision ordinance. Is there anyone here to speak for or against these changes? Seeing no one, I will close the public hearing. Commissioners, do you have any questions or comments concerning this item? If not, I accept a motion to adopt.
So moved.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, we need to do them separately.
The zoning amendment one was together, so you're good, and we'll talk about the subdivision
Okay.
one now. The proposed amendments to the subdivision ordinance are for section 11, which talks about public and private roads. The proposed language, again, would codify an interpretation that we have been working under. That is when existing 45-foot right-of-ways may be used for access. In the case of a landlocked parcel where there's already an existing 45-foot right-of-way, it would allow them to take access from that right-of-way. It also clarifies that private roads must be built to the public standard if they are to be maintained in perpetuity as a private street. We also have a proposed change to Section 5, which is the final plat requirements. That would add an additional certificate to allow folks who wanted to use that on exemption plats as an optional certificate, because the definition of subdivision is a little different when it comes to exemptions. It's not exactly subdivision, so we had this issue come up, so this is in response to something that our legal counsel has already dealt with. And I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Okay. Are there any questions, commissioners? Okay, the one public hearing will cover both, or do we need to do another public hearing?
We need to hold the second one for the subdivision,
I just want to
please.
make sure we did it right. Okay, so at this time, I will open a public hearing to consider the text changes to the subdivision ordinance. Is there anyone here to speak for or against the subdivision ordinance amendments? Seeing no one, I will close the public hearing. Commissioners, any comments or questions on this item? If not, I accept a motion that we approve the subdivision ordinance amendments.
So moved.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Thank you.
Thank you. And just for our viewing audience at home, it may sound like we go through some of these items fairly quickly. We have a work session the first Monday of every month where we spend a lot more time on these issues, and then we have a chance to get feedback if we need clarification. So a lot of times when we get this meeting, we've already talked about it for a while, so we are all very much aware of the issue. The next item that we have is finance, and I'll call Ann Wilson to come up, please. This is good news about general obligation bonds refunding results and a budget amendment.
It sure is. We closed on our refunding of our bonds on May 15th, and the final savings was $6,205,124, which has a net present value of $5,522,530. So that saved us a lot of money. I need you to approve the budget amendment, which will, in essence, add to the budget this refunding. Are there any questions?
Commissioners, are there any questions? If not, I would accept a motion that we approve the budget amendment to record the refunding.
So moved.
We have a motion, we have a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? And Ann, just real quick, how long have you been working on this, roughly?
Since about November, I guess.
Okay.
A lot of folks work really hard on this.
Yeah, just to give the public some idea, again, this is something that takes a long time to work through, and our staff has worked really hard to save the county and the taxpayers' money on refinancing some of the general obligation bonds that we had. And next, what everybody, at least up here, has been waiting for, our county manager is going to present the proposed fiscal year 2014 Cabarrus County budget.
Message.
All
right. Honorable Chairman and members of the Cabarrus County Board of Commissioners, I'm excited to submit to you the recommended Cabarrus County operating budget for fiscal year 2014. This budget was prepared in accordance with the general statutes of North Carolina and the Local Budget Fiscal Control Act. The board's established mission, vision, and strategic goals provided valuable structure and guidance in the preparation of this balanced budget. Included in this comprehensive document are the expected revenue projections and the proposed operational expenses for the 2014 fiscal year. Beginning in November 2012, all levels of staff worked together to implement a 360-degree review of the relevancy, the effectiveness, and efficiency of Cabarrus County programs and services. This included research, evaluation, and consideration of changes in staffing levels, consolidations of departments, programs, and/or services, and privatization of services, some of which are included in the proposed budget. At the core of this budget is a balance of the needs with modest adjustments to operations that will move Cabarrus County forward in the best interests of our residents. I recommend a general fund budget of $212,940,116. This is a proposed 2.55% increase in the spending over fiscal year 2013's amended budget. To fund this budget as proposed will require the Board of Commissioners to adopt an ad valorem tax rate of 70 cents, which is equal to this current year. The proposed budget maintains existing levels of spending in most departments and allows for some growth in the areas with increased service demands, especially law enforcement and human services, in order to meet the current and future needs of Cabarrus County residents. The proposed 2014 budget revenue projections are based on current economic reality and economic forecast, which indicate positive signs of growth in the coming years. The economic and operational impacts on the county budget. Number one, due to positive economic growth, we expect a 2.55% increase in revenues for fiscal year 2014. Number two, during the Board of Commissioners retreat in February, Professor John Chesser shared current trends and projections of expected growth in our county and throughout the region. He magnified the importance of preparing for the impact of this growth, which results in an increased need for public services. Number three, Cabarrus County has experienced an increase in both commercial and residential growth over the last year. Increased activity in our Register of Deeds office and construction standard departments support theories of continued growth and building and potentially population during the next year. Number four, Cabarrus County's unemployment rate is currently decreasing and on May 1st was at 8.3%. The decrease is encouraging, however, we need to continue to research and create economic opportunities that will further lower unemployment in the coming year. Number five, fuel and energy costs have increased, which will continue to affect the county's operating budget. Number six, the federal sequestration can potentially affect federal funding levels for mandated services within the Human Services Department. We predict the reduction in the federal funds will require an increase in county funding to maintain current service levels. The financial impact of federal health care and state Medicaid reform is unknown at this point. However, increased eligibility in both programs has the potential to strain already maximized workloads and service levels within our Human Services Department. Number eight, enrollment in Cabarrus County and Kannapolis City school systems continues to grow, and more students are considering post-secondary education opportunities through Rowan Cabarrus Community College. To meet the increased demand on the resources, both public school systems and the community college have prioritized capital projects as an imminent need. Number nine, surrounding counties are adding staff in order to meet the demands of an improving economy. This puts Cabarrus in competition to recruit and retain employees with specialized experience necessary to provide high-quality services. We have carefully weighed the aforementioned factors and considered their impact on programs, services, staff, and productivity. The proposed budget ensures staffing levels and expenditures will address increased workloads, offer market competitive salaries to our employees, and meet the needs and expectations of our residents. To create balance, the proposed budget includes some revisions to county operations. And budget highlights would be, as the Cabarrus County grows, our staff continuously and diligently implements new and innovative strategies to maximize outcomes. Sometimes this means the realignment and restructure of positions to meet the county's operational needs. Just as we did in fiscal 13, the county has combined assignments to create full-time positions that more appropriately meet future demands of particular programs and services. Number two, cognizant of the future county senior level management needs, I have proposed creating assistant director positions within the General Services Department and the Human Services Department, areas accountable for critical incident response. Adding personnel will increase oversight and reduce the disproportionate responsibilities that currently fall to the department directors. The assistant directors will take responsibility for a large portion of daily operation management within each department, allowing the director to concentrate on overarching policy and customer service strategies. These positions will also assist the county in meeting the board succession planning goal. The consolidation of human services related departments including DSS, transportation, and aging services, will become effective July 1. The proposed budget includes the addition of several new positions to address current and future challenges within oversight and workload within the department. Additional staff for the Sheriff's Department is also included in the budget proposal. The additions will address public safety concerns identified by the Sheriff and their recent staffing study. These new positions will allow the Sheriff to move toward a civilian 911 emergency communications division and reassign more sworn officers to the department's patrol division. It adds a clerical position to process increased demands in gun and concealed weapon permits and works in partnership with the town of Midland to add 4 patrol officers to that area of the county. Number 5, the budget recommendation includes a 1.5% cost of living increase, or a COLA, for the county employees and reinstatement of the performance-based merit increases per the Board of Commissioners policies. The proposal also includes funds to perform a market position study that will compare county salaries against competitive salaries for other organizations in our region and state. This is a necessity as we strive to keep our valued employees and recruit quality future employees. Number 6, additional school funding for capital and energy-related needs are included or proposed in the budget. An increased number of claims have again put a strain on the county employees' health insurance plan this year. The result was a potential increase for fiscal 2014 that experts projected would exceed 18%. Based on plan design changes approved by the Board of Commissioners in March for implementation in fiscal year 2014, we now project that the county will experience only a 7.5% increase in the health plan cost. Cabarrus County's economy is trending in a positive direction, bringing with it an increased number of residents to whom the county provides services. To address this steady climb, we must identify and prepare for school capital and maintenance needs and increased demands on our public safety and human service providers. The proposed 2014 budget meets these top priorities with balance. It streamlines operations and works within the financially responsible business model to sustain and build upon the high level of service residents of Cabarrus County have grown to expect from their local government. In closing, I would like to recognize all of the staff members of Cabarrus County government for their commitment to maintain and improve on the programs and services we provide. They have risen to the challenge of doing more with less during multiple years of economic uncertainty. I encourage the residents of Cabarrus County to join me and show their appreciation for each one of them. It is through their hard work and dedication that we are able to make the vision of the board a reality. I especially want to publicly thank Ann Wilson, our finance director, Parth Mehta, our budget analyst, Becky Crabtree, our accountant, one of our accountants, Lundy Covington, our human resources director, and our deputy county managers, Pam Dubois and Jonathan Marshall, for their long hours and hard work in the preparation of this budget. I also want to express my appreciation to the Board of Commissioners for their support and leadership during this budget time and throughout the year. Respectfully submitted. Mike Downs.
Thank you very much.
And you should have, if you haven't seen it, you have a thumb drive at each of your stations there to take with you, and it's got the entire budget as proposed on there.
Okay. So tonight's meeting, just for everybody's understanding, we do receive the budget. It's a whole lot bigger than this, but this works really well for us. A copy of the proposed budget will be filed in the office of the clerk to the board, and will be available for public inspection. If anyone would like to come during regular business hours and look through the budget, you are welcome to do that. The budget will also be posted on the county's website, which is www.cabarruscounty.us. You'll be able to find it there, and you'll be able to look at the budget and see what is being proposed. Again, this is the proposed budget that staff has given to the county commissioners. We have a number of meetings scheduled. We will be meeting next week, May 28th, 29th, and 30th. All 3 of those meetings will begin at 4 o'clock in the multipurpose room down the hallway. The public is always welcome to come to our meetings and hear the discussions. We will have presentations made. The county serves to some degree is a checkbook, as the commissioners know, for a number of entities in the county, and so they will come and explain to us their request and the needs that they have and how the county can help to address some of those needs. So you are welcome to come to those meetings. We do need to go ahead and schedule a public hearing on the budget, which we will need to set for Monday, June the 17th, 2013 at 6 p.m. or as soon thereafter as persons may be heard. That is our regular meeting scheduled for June. And the proposal, we will have a public hearing that night, and we may adopt the budget that night. Sometimes we have to call another meeting in June. We do have to adopt a budget before the end of June. County government budgets, most government budgets run from July 1st until June the 30th of the next year. That's why this is referred to as the 2014 budget, even though we're still in 2013. So I hope that explanation helps everybody. So at this time, I guess we need to do a motion for the public hearing. Okay, I would accept a motion that we schedule a public hearing on the proposed fiscal year 2014 Cabarrus County budget for Monday, June 17th, 2013 at 6:30 p.m. or as soon thereafter as persons may be heard. Second. I have a motion and I have a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, commissioners, we all have some light reading ahead of us. Next, we have some appointments. For Council for a Sustainable Local Economy, I accept a motion to appoint Robin Pope to the Council for a Sustainable Local Economy to complete an unexpired term ending December 31st, 2013, and an additional one-year term ending December 31st, 2014.
So moved. Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? I also need a motion to remove Rod Townley and Lori Clay from the Council for a Sustainable Local Economy roster effective May the 1st, 2013, and thank them for their many years of service.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Next, appointments for the Adult Care Home Community Advisory Committee. At this time, I accept a motion to appoint Cynthia Brooks and Paula Brandel to the Adult Care Home Community Advisory Committee for one-year terms ending May 31st, 2014.
So moved. Second.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? And also I need to, would accept a motion to reappoint Ed Burns to the Adult Care Home Community Advisory Committee for a 3-year term ending May 31st, 2016.
So moved.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Next, we have Cabarrus County Youth Council. I need a motion to appoint Nicholas McNiff to the Cabarrus County Youth Council representing the J.M. Robinson High School position for a 1-year term ending June 30th, 2014.
So moved. Second.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Next, we have an appointment to the Harrisburg Fire Advisory Board. This time, I accept a motion to appoint Kenny Long to the Harrisburg Fire Advisory Board for a 2-year term ending July 1st, 2015.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Also need a motion to reappoint Graydon Choyinski to the Harrisburg Fire Advisory Board for a 2-year term ending July 1st, 2015, including an exception to the length of service provision of the appointment policy.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? In your packets, we also have a number of reports that commissioners you want to look at. Cardinal Innovations Healthcare Solutions has their third quarter report, and a number of other reports that we have asked for. At this time, yes.
Madam Chair.
Oh, did I miss one?
Item H5.
Sorry. Let me find that one. Sorry. Let's see. For the Juvenile Crime Prevention Council, I need a motion to appoint Connie Philbeck to the JCPC as an at-large representative to complete an unexpired term, including an additional 2-year term ending June 30th, 2015.
So moved.
Have a motion, second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, also need a motion to appoint Michelle Wilson to the JCPC as an at-large representative to complete an unexpired term ending June 30th, 2014.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, a motion to reappoint Carolyn Carpenter to the JCPC as a United Way/other nonprofit representative, and Judge Brent Cloninger as the Chief District Court Judge or designee representative for 2-year terms ending June 30th, 2015, including an exception to the length of service provision of the appointment policy for Mrs. Carpenter.
So moved. Second.
I have a motion and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion to remove Dawn Thomas and Felicia Wilson from the JCPC roster and thank them for their service.
So moved.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, now I hope I got all the appointments. Okay, now we're down to J, item J, general comments by board members. Yes, sir?
I have two things I would like to mention. The first being the Youth Council had their end-of-year banquet this evening, and I just wanted to thank each and every one of them for their participation and cooperation in the Youth Council and how important it is, and thanks for their parents to really making sure that they come to the meetings and making sure they have transportation to get here. Also, the second thing is the Historic Cabarrus Association had their annual meeting earlier this month, and if you have an opportunity, anyone that's watching this or anyone that's here, to stop by the museum that's located in the historic courthouse with the Arts Council. The exhibit is the saving of the historic courthouse. And during the annual meeting, it was very interesting to hear the history and the background of how the county commissioners were planning to tear down that building and demolish that. And ultimately, it was saved by a group of citizens. So if you get an opportunity, I would encourage you to stop by and take a look at the museum and the exhibits and really understand the history behind how that building was saved.
Okay, thank you. Any other general comments?
One of the questions that I get asked quite frequently, and was asked again this afternoon by the Girl Scouts, was how many meetings do county commissioners have? Commissioner White and I explained to them that we meet twice a month normally, 5 times this month. And then I pointed out to them some of the other meetings, and so I decided to, and that's a question I get from folks in the community as well. How often, how much time does that take? How often do you meet? I made out a list of some of the meetings since we met last, and I think it's about 11 or 12 that I had highlighted, and there are some that I'd missed, but I did want to mention a couple things. I've met actually twice with the Juvenile Crime Prevention Council that we talked about, just made some appointments to. That's a program that I think a lot of folks are not terribly familiar with, but they do excellent work. The programs with the Boys and Girls Club, there's some home-based services, some shift mentoring, which is another entirely different program, and then the teen court. Those are dollars that are spent that I think probably save us a lot of dollars down the road by getting some of these folks on the right track. Another event that I attended along with Commissioner Poole was Special Olympics, which is, if you've never been out and experienced that, I would encourage citizens to go out and take a look. It's a great event. One thing that I particularly was impressed by, one of our local celebrities, Scott Avett, was there and greeted the kids and spent quite a bit of time there. I was happy to have an opportunity to thank him for being willing to do that, and it's great to have guys like that. I think his brother was there the second day supporting things in our community. I also attended a lunch put on by Beacon Properties out at International Business Park. Basically just to become a little bit more familiar with what was going on out there, and what I saw was pretty amazing. The purpose of this luncheon was to bring brokers in from other counties to show them space that's available at International Business Park that they hope to lease. And as part of that process, we took a tour of some of the existing businesses out there. Of course, I know about the big ones, the ones that we hear about all the time, but some of these folks was pretty amazing. We toured the Connections offices, which has been before this board before. They explained to us what they did, and they currently have 900 employees out there at that facility, and they are in the process of hiring 600 more for a healthcare client that they're currently working with. So obviously that's good news. Another company that I'm not sure I can pronounce the name correctly, Super Fishy America, is another facility. They make and distribute equipment that laminates all the cabinets that we see in our house. Very high tech, very clean. It was amazing to see that. It was something that I had no idea that they were there or what they did. In talking with some of the folks involved with leasing out there, they pointed out to me that if you took the combined employment of all the companies that are located at International Business Park in one lump sum, that would be the third largest employer in Cabarrus County. So there are a lot of things going on out there that I think a lot of people are not familiar with. Also attended a school safety forum at Concord High School. This was partly being a representative of the Juvenile Crime Prevention Council. This was a state, they went throughout the state and held these meetings in different communities to talk about ways to make our schools safer, and issues that need to be discussed. Was very, very informational, and we had a very good representation from Cabarrus County there. Congressional art contest, that was the entire 8th District of North Carolina. They had their awards at the Davis Theater and the historic courthouse that Commissioner Meismer just talked about, and I think all 3 awards were won by Concord High School students, so we were certainly proud of them, and that was a great event. Another one that I went to that really was an eye-opener for me was Mechanical Trades Carolina, which is located here in the county, in the city of Concord. I did not know they were here. I did not know what they did. They had a statewide competition. They train people for various trades, electrical, plumbing, welding, and some other things as well. But they were there. Rowan Cabarrus Community College is very involved in working with them in some of those programs. There are some resources available that someone can go at no cost at all to them and learn a trade and basically be guaranteed a job at the end of that program. Secretary of Labor Sherry Berry was there at that event and throughout the day. They were competing and actually doing the welding and the plumbing on model walls. It was quite interesting, but I learned more about medical oxygen and air and suction lines than I ever knew existed. They had a mobile unit out there. So that was something that I think most people do not know that this goes on in Cabarrus County. Several of us were at Law Day ceremonies, which was a great event that was held downstairs in this building. United Way had a appreciation breakfast out at Great Wolf Lodge. I think that they probably raised the most money this year they have in quite a few years. It was extremely successful. In this building as well, one day last week was a small business resource fair, which I was able to attend part of. They had a show downstairs, or had booths set up downstairs. Anybody that owns a business or that would like to start a business had an opportunity to talk with various resources in the county, spend time with them, ask questions, find out what's available to them, and then seminars were held in this room on several different topics. That was a primarily sponsored by Rowan Cabarrus Community College, I believe, and there were some other folks involved as well. The Chamber and the EDC were sponsors of that, and there's a list of folks. But that was an excellent event. I think a lot of us were at the Arts Council Breakfast, which is an organization that occupies the same building we just talked about, the old Cabarrus County Courthouse, and presents wonderful programs in our school systems as well as to the public. They had their annual fundraising breakfast this past Friday morning at the Embassy Suites, and I was pretty amazed that there were in excess of 700 people in our county that got up and were over at the Embassy Suites at 7 o'clock in the morning to support the work that they're doing. So hats off to those folks. Kind of finished off the week with the Library Board of Trustees. It is always enjoyable to meet with our county librarians. They are young, they are enthusiastic, they are fun. Yeah, they are a tremendous resource, and they're really about making those services available to people. They were up as far as circulation increased over 5% this past April. They are averaging 7,500 holds per month. That means people that come in to check out books and have to put them on hold because they're not available. That we talked about some of the resources that are available through North Carolina Live, which is an online resource, and talked about you can go there and take sample tests for the SAT, EMT folks, nurses. There's a whole long list of things, and those are available through our library. There are other e-resource classes that are available from those websites that I feel like a lot of people don't know about. One of the interesting figures that they gave to us was the door count. Year to date is about 350,000 people that have used our libraries. That is an increase of about 21,000 from last year. When I questioned them, what did they attribute the increase to, their answer was the additional funding that they received this year that enabled them to expand their hours closer to what they used to be. So things are going extremely well there, and I will not continue on any further, but I wanted to make the public aware of some of the good things that are going on in Cabarrus County. Thank you.
And you are 100% correct. We go to a lot of other things besides just the regular meetings that we have here. Either of you have comments? Okay, I do want to make just a couple comments myself. One, recognize the Cabarrus County Building Industry Association. They held a masonry competition, and then they went to Greensboro and helped judge some of the Skills USA competition, and young fellow in Mount Pleasant came in first here, and he did very well at states. And they are looking to do another partnership to create playhomes. Instead of playhouses, they want them to be called playhomes in August over at in Charlotte at the spring show. And they're going to try to get a couple schools and some other folks that are going to build these playhomes that'll be on display, and one of which will be the playhome of their choice. If they get a Makes-A-Wish child can pick one of the playhomes to take home as a result of that. So it's a big initiative that they've just started with a short time frame. So it should be interesting to see how that works out. But they've been very helpful in the school system to help with those programs, like you mentioned, with masonry and carpentry. Also, if any of you were watching the news today, you've seen that Oklahoma is having a lot of problems. That's a nice way of putting it, with tornadoes. I cannot imagine a 2-mile wide tornado to this afternoon, but our thoughts and prayers go out to the people in Oklahoma and the devastation that they are experiencing and the weather conditions that they're experiencing. And I also want to comment about Kannapolis City Councilman Darrell Hennett's wife passed away this past week. And so we want to keep the Kannapolis City Council and especially the Hennett family in our thoughts and prayers also. If there are no other general comments, we do have need for a closed session tonight, Commissioners. So at this time, I would accept a motion to go into closed session for personnel matters and to consult with the county attorney as authorized by North Carolina General Statute 143, 318, 11A3 and 6.
So moved.
And
Tony Harris.
we're going to invite Tony Harris, is that the only one, into our meeting. So I have a motion, we have a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Okay, and I'd like to say thank you to all of you here tonight with us. We appreciate you coming, and good night to you and to our television audience.